For so long, teaching felt like a job I could never clock out of. I could leave the building, but my brain never left the to-do list. Creating simple systems was like finally being able to leave at the bell and trust the world wouldn't fall apart. If you're nodding along, this episode is for you. I remember this season so clearly. I was teaching at the magnet school for my school district, splitting my time between two campuses, trying to build a program from scratch, and arguing with a counselor who was convinced I didn't see the big picture. In her mind, stacking preps was the best way to help students earn their associate's degrees before graduation. In my mind, it was the fastest way to burn out every teacher in the building. On top of that, we were up for accreditation and my principal was out of touch enough to announce that all of us were flipping our classrooms when in reality, none of us were doing anything of the sort. I spent so many evenings that year at my kitchen table, grading, planning, researching, second guessing, wondering if this was just how it was going to be forever. If I'm honest, there wasn't a single magical moment when it all changed. It was more like a series of small realizations that finally stacked up to something better. Today, I want to share what actually helped me plan for 5 preps without giving up every night and weekend, and how you can start moving toward the same relief. Welcome to the Secondary Teacher Podcast, the podcast for middle and high school teachers juggling multiple preps to get the strategies to reduce overwhelm so that you don't have to choose between being an effective teacher and prioritizing important relationships. I'm your host, Kristen Masick, a 10-year high school engineering teacher, former middle school assistant principal, and teacher coach. Every week, we will discuss strategies, systems, and time-saving tips to help you not only survive but thrive as a multiple prep teacher. In today's episode, I'm going to tell you about the 4 shifts that helped me finally clock out. First, I stopped trying to prove I was a good teacher by doing it all. I think so many of us feel this pressure to be everything to everyone, especially if you're teaching electives or newer courses. You feel like you have to justify your program's existence to show you deserve to be there. I was the teacher who tried to have the Pinterest-worthy syllabus, the color-coded makeup work crates, the elaborate lessons every single day, but the truth was none of it mattered if I was too tired to teach well. I had to learn to let go of some of the proving, to ask myself, who is this really for? My students or my own guilt? If you're feeling like you have to constantly demonstrate your worth, you don't. You already matter. You already make a difference. And you don't have to sacrifice your evenings to prove it. The second thing is I started planning around my energy, not just my standards. One of the first shifts I made was deciding to plan around my life and not just a curriculum map. This meant looking at the school calendar and honestly asking, when will my energy be low? Like December, when you're doing all the holiday events and family gatherings, or May, when the finish line feels a mile away, but your brain already wants to be done. I started scheduling lower energy units or repeated routines during those times. For example, when December rolled around, I planned projects that ran on autopilot instead of trying to introduce big new concepts. When I knew I'd have students back to back for multiple periods, I found ways to use the same bell ringer structures, just swapping out the content. This wasn't lazy, it was sustainable. And it meant I could walk out at 3:30 knowing tomorrow was ready. The third shift that I made was learning to let some tasks stay undone. This one took me years. I thought if I didn't reply to every email on the same day or grade every assignment within 48 hours, I was somehow letting everyone down. But here's the reality. A lot of tasks will wait. A lot of expectations you think are non-negotiable are actually just habits or assumptions. There were evenings I closed my laptop with papers still ungraded. And you know what happened? Nothing. No one called me incompetent. The world didn't stop turning. I had to retrain my brain to see unfinished tasks as pending, not as proof I was failing. So if you need permission, here it is. You are allowed to leave some things undone. Okay, the fourth and final one. I built repeatable routines, even when it felt lazy. This is probably the most tactical shift that changed everything. I finally admitted to myself that I couldn't keep planning every class from scratch. It started with bell ringers. I didn't have time to come up with unique prompts every day, so I built a sample library I could rotate. Then I started using the same lesson plan structure across preps: introduce, practice, produce. It became the backbone of every unit. I could plug in any topic: engineering design, computer tech, drafting, and still feel like I had a solid plan. I used to think repeatable systems were a sign I wasn't creative enough, but they were actually the thing that made me a better teacher because I had more capacity to be present, responsive, and calm. If you're still trying to plan every detail from scratch, please hear me. Routines aren't a shortcut, they're a strategy. If this is striking a nerve because you're still working every night and weekend, I want you to know I see you. I know how exhausting it is to hold all of that in your head. That's why I created the Multiple Prep Teacher Academy, to give you the systems I wish I'd had when I was juggling 5 preps and wondering how long I could keep going. Inside, you'll learn exactly how to build a planning structure you can trust, repeatable routines for every class, and a way to finally clock out without guilt. And if you're not ready to jump in yet, just start with the free mini PD, Make AI Your Teaching Assistant. Even one small step can help you start to reclaim your time. You deserve a teaching life you don't have to recover from, a life where you can lock your classroom door, walk out, and feel done for the day. And it's possible, one system at a time. You've got this, and I'm here cheering you on.